Coming up, we're there as 12-time world record holder Brian Jackson makes his final world record attempt.
It's an amazing feeling to be able to say, I hold that world record.
He tells us how his life could have been much different if he hadn't been given a second chance. And he went from Chilocco Indian School to the world stage as a champion archer. Joe Thornton takes us back in time as he traveled the world representing Native Americans to a curious foreign audience. And the captivating voice of singer-songwriter Kalyn Fay Barnoski.
I was told I was too young to understand much about the town and how
living in two worlds has had a constant influence on her art, and how that conflict translates on her new album.
The Cherokees.
A thriving American Indian tribe.
Our history.
Our culture. Our people.
Our future.
The principles of a historic nation.
Sewn into the fabric of a modern world.
Hundreds of thousands strong. Learning.
Growing.
Succeeding.
And steadfast.
In the past, we have persevered through struggle.
But the future is ours to write.
Osiyo.
OCO.
OCO.
These are the voices of the Cherokee people.
OCO, I'm Principal Chief Bill John Baker. Welcome to the Cherokee Nation and OCO TV. This is how we share our culture, our heritage, our history, and our language with you. Wooddo.
Osiyo, it's how we say hello in Cherokee. In this episode, we'll introduce you to a former world champion archer and an up-and-coming singer-songwriter. But first, let's meet 12-time world record holder Brian Jackson. It's been said he has the strongest lungs in the world, and he invited us to come along as he makes his 13th and final world record attempt.
Being able to say that you've achieved something that nobody else in the world has ever done is something that I never thought I'd be able to do. And it's an amazing feeling to be able to say, I hold that world record. My name is Brian Jackson. I'm known as the I Believe guy, and I'm a 12-time Guinness World Record holder. I was actually born in California and moved to Oklahoma when I was 9. I always kind of looked for a way to fit in, and so I thought maybe I could try out for the track team. And then I went to the state track meet my junior year in high school, and I was in the top 12 fastest 2-mile runners in the state of Oklahoma. Then it all changed because between the junior year and senior year, I was introduced to drugs. I became one of the largest drug dealers in Seminole, Oklahoma. I watched my friends go to college. Some of them got jobs, and I was dealing drugs. 18 months after high school, I was in the largest drug bust in Seminole County at the time. I was arrested with 25 pounds of marijuana, 8 illegal firearms, several $1,000s in cash, and I was actually looking at 10 years in prison. And after that, the district attorney called me up to his office and scared me for about an hour, telling me what they were going to do to me in prison, how they were going to treat me. But then he just stopped and he said, Brian, this is not really who you are. He said, if you'll quit doing all this stupid stuff, I'll get you off. So he said, you have gifts and talents that you could use. So I took advantage of my second chance and I took it serious. After I got my second chance, we started going to a church and we wanted to do some stuff for our kids. I bought a book on how to make balloon animals, and we went to an event and we left our pumps at home. And so at this event, it was either blow the balloons up and make balloon animals or not make balloon animals. So I started blowing them up, and I told myself I'm not ever going to use a pump again. And it was when I got to where I could blow up 9 of those at the same time that I saw the guy from Luxembourg, Germany that held the world record for blowing up a hot water bottle, and I thought to myself, I'm going to break that world record. In 2006, I broke the world record for the fastest time to blow up a hot water bottle. It knocked me out, it dislocated my jaw, it separated my ribs. I don't remember breaking that record. I have to watch the video. It's dangerous because if you think about how thin the lung tissue is. So you can imagine if one of those little bags that you squeeze air into somebody's lungs to help them breathe can rupture a lung, how much pressure could 2,500 pounds do? In Italy, I blew up 3 hot water bottles in 1 minute and 8 seconds, and that was my 2nd world record. And that got the attention of Stan Lee, the creator of Spider-Man, X-Men, and Marvel Comics. I get a phone call one day, and it's from the producers of Stan Lee Superhumans, and they said, "We do this show called Stan Lee Superhumans." I'm like, "I know, I've seen that show." And they said, "Would you like to be on the show?" Now on the phone, I was like, "Yeah, that's cool." But inside, I was going nuts. Now I'm sitting there thinking, this is Stan Lee, you got to step it up. So I told him, I said, "I'd like to see if I could lift a car." In Las Vegas, we're filming the show. We'd blown up several hot water balls, a bunch of balloons, and the scientists and the medical experts said, "Don't let him lift the car, it will kill him." Stan Lee said, "We got a good show, we got enough footage, you don't have to lift the car." And I said, "I'm lifting the car." They put the bag underneath the side of the car, and I just prayed really hard. Give me the ability to do this, let me go home safe to my family. And I start blowing into this thing with more pressure than I'd ever blown into. And when that car came off the ground and Daniel slid that paper underneath that tire, it was exciting. And after that, we're all celebrating, and Daniel Browning Smith comes up and he says, "I just got off the phone with Stan. He's got your nickname." And so he said, "They're gonna call you the Hurricane." And I thought, how cool is that? A cool name from Stan Lee. And there's only a handful of us, and I'm the only Native American. So that's a memory that I will never forget. If you go out to attempt something and you think you're going to be successful every time, you're up for a big disappointment. I haven't broken every record attempt. I was on America's Got Talent and couldn't blow up 1 hot water bottle. Bottom line is, that's just the way life is. And I was really mad for a long time. And after that, I did 5 hot water bottles in under a minute on another TV show. I look at it like this: I'm not just representing myself, but Native Americans. And now I hold more world records than any Native American in the world. And I can look back and smile and think, you know, I did change my legacy. I did change what people hopefully remember me by. But at the same time, I also get the opportunity to share with a lot of youth, if you've made a mistake, that doesn't mean it's the end of your life. It doesn't mean it's the end of your career. Yes! Whew. I've been wanting to retire for quite a while, and there's still something missing. I'm going to attempt to lift another car, the final car, in the same place, same town that I broke my first world record, Tahlequah, Oklahoma. And my family has all said, "Is this it? This is it." You know, if I don't quit, something permanently is going to happen. I'm 51 years old. I've achieved more than I ever thought I would. I've been blessed beyond what I can ever imagine, and it's time to let it go. And you got to get to a point where you're just happy with who you are and what you have.
I'm officially retired. Thank you guys very much.
At 99 years old, Cherokee Nation citizen Joe Thornton is a living legend. He's a world champion archer who's traveled the globe, winning trophies and breaking records. And it was archery that introduced Joe to his greatest match ever. that bring back memories?
Yeah. My name is Joe Thornton, and I'm a former world archery champion. Well, I'm 99 years old now. If I live till August the 2nd, I'll be 100. That's what I'm trying for.
That's a good-looking couple, you know it. My name is Kalyn Thornton. I'm Joe Thornton's wife of 52 years and a former world champion archer.
I was born over in Adair County and went off to Sulaco Indian School. I noticed some of the boys were making bows and arrows, and they'd go out and hunt and shoot. And some of them belonged to Boy Scouts, and the Boy Scouts had contests, and so I made bows and arrows along with the rest of them, and we'd go out and shoot. Parents were both Cherokee, and they both spoke both languages fluently. They could work as interpreters, actually. I sure wish that my parents had taught me that. A bunch of us have coffee every morning about 9 o'clock. I guess we gather up and breaks the monotony.
Joe walks like a 50-year-old man. It's amazing how young he seems.
Several years after I'd been out of Sulaco, I was operating a shop here, a TV shop, a radio shop in Tahlequah, and one of the guys that worked for me told me about modern archery. He said the cities around have clubs and they hold tournaments, and so I borrowed his bow one day and went to a tournament and found out I was pretty good at it. Shot a tournament, a state tournament one time, and I was very close to the world record, my score. Tulsa Archery Club, they made up the $1,000 to send me to world tournaments. I started out kind of slow, but before long I was in front. It requires so much strength and steadiness, steady nerves, and self-control. And when the tournament was over, I had won by 123 points. I could have discarded my last dozen arrows and still been the world champion. I set a couple of world records while I was at it. That was a great feeling. That's a very simple bow, but it was good. When I got back to Tulsa, the Tulsa Archery Club was there to meet me, and they had a pretty good reception, and they presented me with the gold key to the city.
My brother-in-law was trying to get a program for the young people in archery over at Fort Gibson. So he brought me over here to Joe to buy a bow, and Joe sold me a bow. It just started from there. He started teaching me how to shoot, and since he was the world champion, I felt real good, you know, standing up there next to him and shooting, and I thought, if I can shoot good next to him, I can shoot good next to anybody, you know, so that gave me a lot of confidence. And in 6 months, I made the United States archery team. But that was our life back then. And our kids were good kids, you know, and so we'd put them in the back of the station wagon along with the bows and arrows and go to a tournament almost every weekend.
It was great. We could do things together. You know, and she even hunted with me, which she probably never would have done if she hadn't have been married to me. I shot in the Senior Olympics. They hold that around in each state. And I shot in that up till around, I was about 85 years old, I think. It was several years ago. I came in second. I thought it's time to quit. I can't pull it. I don't have the strength anymore to pull a bow. I can't even pull Helen's bow. I'm in 4 halls of fame now, and the main one is the American Indian Athletic Hall of Fame.
I've always been proud of Joe. And we've all, as far as I'm concerned, we've always been happy, and we're still here.
I guess I was a good sportsman. I helped a lot of people, and I learned to do a lot of things. So I'm proud of my accomplishments.
In 1821, a Cherokee named Sequoyah revealed his life's work, the Cherokee syllabary, sometimes called the Cherokee alphabet. By 1830, more than 60% of Cherokees could read and write in Cherokee syllabary. In 1828, the first printing press designed to use the syllabary was assembled in the former capital of the Cherokee Nation in New Echota, Georgia. The printing press was used to create the Cherokee Phoenix, the first national bilingual newspaper, publishing its first edition on February 21, 1828. Beyond news, the Cherokee Phoenix published features, accounts of Cherokees living elsewhere, reports about other area tribes, and social and religious activities. In the 1830s, the newspaper's editor, Elias Boudinot, and Principal Chief John Ross used the Cherokee Phoenix to editorialize against the Indian Removal Act of 1830 and the growing encroachment by settlers. During the political unrest in 1834, the printing press was destroyed and the newspaper office burned. It wasn't until 1844, in what is now Tahlequah, Oklahoma, that another Cherokee printing press was created, printing a new newspaper called the Cherokee Advocate. In 2000, the newspaper's name returned to the Cherokee Phoenix, which is still printed in both Cherokee and English. The Cherokee Nation is among 26 tribes to receive federal funding to provide housing for homeless Cherokee veterans. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Secretary Julian Castro announced the grant winners in a January visit to Tulsa. It's a partnership with the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, awarding $5.9 million in grants to offer a permanent home and supportive services to Native veterans who experience or are at risk of homelessness. The Cherokee Nation will provide 20 vouchers for rental assistance using nearly $200,000 from the grant. The Cherokee Nation made headlines as the first batch of 2016 hunting and fishing licenses were mailed out to Cherokee Nation citizens across the state of Oklahoma. The Cherokee Nation Tax Commission is issuing the hunting and fishing licenses to tribal citizens in Oklahoma who submitted updated contact information and who do not already hold an Oklahoma lifetime hunting and fishing license. Last year, Cherokee Nation Principal Chief Bill John Baker and Oklahoma Governor Mary Fallin signed a compact to expand hunting and fishing rights for Cherokee Nation citizens to all 77 counties.
It has been a tremendous success, and to allow Cherokees to hunt any place in the state of Oklahoma and any Cherokees outside the 14 counties to be able to get these hunting and fishing licenses.
The licenses are being issued in ascending order of zip codes, starting with 70603 and ending with 77427. The new Cherokee Nation Tribal Youth Council was sworn in and are already well on their way to becoming the tribe's newest young leaders. There are 17 young Cherokees on the Youth Council. They each learn the Cherokee Nation Constitution, our tribal history, and our tribal heritage. The council is a resource for the administration and tribal council to get a better idea of concerns that are important to the younger generations.
Where the future of the Cherokee Nation is how I see it, and a lot of us plan on being part of the regular council when we get older.
The goal of the Youth Council is to empower young Cherokees, giving them an avenue to participate and prepare them for future public service.
Chalagi iniwoni hi. Let's talk Cherokee. February. Kagatli.
Kagatli.
It was sleeting in February. Kagatli. Katla. Chigane soska in.
Kagatli. Katla. Chigane soska I.
Dog. Geetli.
Geekli.
The dog is going hunting. Geetli. Gano halega.
Geekli. Gano halega.
Freezing. Ganestal di a.
Ganestati a.
The road is freezing. Nanohi. Ganestal di a.
Nanohi. Ganestati a.
Kalyn Fay Barnoski is an artist taking on multiple forms of art, but no matter which type of art it is, her Cherokee heritage plays a major role in the message she's trying to send.
Don't remember much about that house on Broadway, that little town in the southeast. Trees all swayed around as if they had a secret. Wish they would have told me.
I'm Kalyn Fay Barnoski. I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Actually originally from Okemah, Oklahoma. I'm in school and getting both of my masters so I can be a professor. I know what I love to do and I'm really passionate about what I want to do, and so I want to give that to somebody else as well. I got into art when I was like a really tiny child. I loved art and I loved music. I still feel like art is a way anyone can help someone. Mine isn't so much about just being Native as it is like trying to interact with other people who are dealing with being Native and being white and trying to fit in. It's different in Oklahoma than it is anywhere else because there's 38 plus affiliated tribes in Oklahoma, so most people you run into are going to be a little bit Native. My dad is full-blood Cherokee. All of my thesis work I'm working on right now is my Christian background versus like Native spiritualism and how my dad grew up and how he still carries a lot of those ideas and views but tries to mix them with Christianity. My family's really tight-knit. My grandma always brought us all together. She taught and spoke in Cherokee. I definitely feel like there's a connection with my grandma when I do my art. Even though she's not here, she's always been very supportive of me doing art. She's who inspired me to do the work that I'm doing. I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for her.
I was told I was too young to understand much about the town and how life moves. But I remember climbing up those upper trees, taking in the beauty of the view. And I still call town my home, though I've left and I still roam. Can't explain just how I felt living in the Bible Belt, living in the Bible Belt.
I didn't start playing music till I moved towards the Tulsa area. My sound is mostly folk. I do singer-songwriter stuff. I have a new album. It's called Bible Belt. All the music I write now is like stories about people I've met or people in my life or myself. A lot of it has to do with living in Oklahoma or in the Bible Belt. I've been playing some of these songs for a few years now, and I just want to have a physical thing to give to people. I'm a part of two separate communities. I'm part of like the design art community, and then I'm part of the music community. I do all facets of design. I do poster design, I've done web design, I do any sort of print design. I like working with silkscreen the most. I made one that's kind of comical, that has a Native on it, and it says, I'm part white, but I can't prove it. One of the pieces I worked on was 2 separate silk screens that I sewed together, and one was of like a traditional like 50s family at a table, and the other was a group of like Native men just out in the prairie. And I got some like syllabary on it too, which translates to Yosei Yagei, which means I wish I had that. It's just like a conversation about how one wishes they had the other. Like my white side wishes they had like the culture and history that my native side has. My native side almost wishes they had like this traditional like white family stability. For me, Cherokee means like community. It's not even just that, it's like retaining a heritage and pushing it further and not making it better, but always being appreciative of your history, continuing on with that. Not letting it die, but also not scared to keep progressing.
Grace and rain and sins and dust caused our bodies all to rust till we left with our bare feet. And I still call out town my home, though I've left and I still roam. Can't explain just how I felt living in the Bible Belt. Can't explain just how I felt living in the Bible Belt.
Next time on Osiyo, Voices of the Cherokee People. Miss Teen Oklahoma 2015 Cherokee Pierce talks about growing up on an Oklahoma farm and how that ultimately inspired her to become a role model for young children.
I always just felt like an outcast, and I just felt so kind of torn down from my peers that maybe that was so unattainable to me. That's one of the main reasons why I wrote my book for children.
We'll have her story and much more on the next Osiyo, Voices of the Cherokee People. We hope you enjoyed our show, and remember, you can always watch entire episodes and share your favorite stories online at OCO.TV. There is no Cherokee word for goodbye. We say, Donadago ha'i. We'll see each other again. So until next time, wado.
I think it's important to be active because it's fun and it just keeps me in shape.
CHIP is that extra insurance that covers the cost in case there's an injury. We can get your family covered with insurance.